So let's continue. As I said, when the war broke out on 22 June 1941, the situation in Dubno changed dramatically.
Great rumors that the Russian army at the border was not prepared for the invasion
and did not resist much. We heard very frequently the noise of German planes flying over. And bombing places. The colleagues of Ukrainian origin became very unfriendly. We had to decide quickly what to do. We saw trucks with soldiers leaving the area. Later we learned they were also going to the train. We collected a group of 6 people, including Helena and me. We took only some clothes, photographs, and documents related to our studies. We left in a great hurry. Even Helena was cross with me later that I didn't take some photographs she had left behind. But I didn't even know they were there. We started going east or southeast on the highway and saw trucks with soldiers and other people passing all the time. On the way to the train station, I don't remember the name of the place, we were told a train was going east. We were in a great hurry to get there, but many times German planes came and started bombing. We had to hide in the wheat fields. Helena even said once or twice that if she was hurt or killed, I should not wait for her, but go on. Many times trucks would not stop to take us. So the men hid, and Helena went out on the road to stop the truck. When it stopped, we came out. Sometimes, if it was a private truck, we got in almost by force. If it was a military truck, the soldiers accommodated us, but they went in various directions, so we had to get out again and again. It took us almost a whole day to cover about 50 kilometers. We were young and walked fast, trying to stop trucks or horse carriages. At the last part, we got into a horse-drawn carriage. The driver let us out quite close to the town where the train was. Finally, we heard the sound of the train and were afraid it had already left. But luckily, it was still at the station. The train was not a normal passenger train, but a very large one with cattle or luggage cars, almost all already filled with people. It was very unhygienic, but we forced ourselves into 3 of them. After a while, the train started moving. In our group of 6, there were people from Warsaw and from the western Ukraine, and one was the son of a newspaper editor from Vilna. This later became very important for us. On the way, we were told the train would take us to Kiev. The train was bombed many times by German planes, but luckily none of the cars was hit, and we continued. I don't know how long the trip lasted, but we probably traveled all night and arrived in Kiev around midday. It was very hard on everyone because there were no sanitary facilities in the cattle cars, but we were quite satisfied that we had escaped the coming German army. When we came to Kiev, everything seemed quite organized, and we were divided into groups. 4 of our friends decided not to go farther. One said he was going back to Warsaw, and I never saw him again. Another said he was going to see his family, and we never saw him again. The son of the newspaper editor came with us. The other 2 went somewhere, but we met one of them after the war. He had been with the partisans, and the other one visited us in the 1960s. He had joined the army, stayed in Georgia, married a Georgian woman, and had a family there. So now we remained 3, Helena, I, and the son of the editor from Vilna, because he couldn't go back to Vilnius. In Kiev, the refugees were taken care of. We were fed and assigned to go deeper into Russia. The 3 of us were sent by boat on the Dnieper and through channels to the Volga. The boat was quite comfortable with cabins and amenities, and we got some food. The trip took a few days, at least 2 nights. Finally, we came to a place on the Volga called Dubovka. Dubovka was one of the settlements of former German colonists from the 17th or 18th century. They assigned us to a family there, which was quite pleasant. Then they assigned us to work at the oil factory. It was already July or August. Soon after we settled, the family of former Germans was evacuated because the Soviet authorities didn't think it safe to have them in the area. We worked in the oil factory in various capacities. At one time, I had the task of oiling the machinery. We got acquainted with the workers and from time to time went with them to the Volga during breaks. They caught fish and prepared fish soup on the spot. Everyone sat around the pot with his own spoon and ate in turn until the pot was empty. It was a communal meal. The head of the factory was not very friendly, but we managed to stay there. Our friend from Vilna told us he had family in Molotov, which before the First World War was called Perm. He wrote to them telling them that 3 persons from the Lviv Polytechnic, agricultural department, wanted to come to the Agricultural Institute in Molotov and asked if they would accept us. We waited quite a long time for the answer. It came in October. The Volga was still navigable, so we went to the authorities and got permission to leave. We had to go first by boat on the Volga to the Kama and then to Molotov. Normally it would take about a week, but this was almost the last boat, and it was nearly full. We managed to persuade the pilots to let us in, but we couldn't get a cabin. We stayed most of the time in the corridors, eating and sleeping there. The boat ran out of fuel and had to stop several times to cut trees for fuel because there was no more coal. It took us almost a month to get to Molotov. We arrived quite late and tired. We stayed 2 days with a family there and then went to the institute and presented ourselves. It was already the end of 1941, but they accepted us. I started my 4th, last year of studies, and Helena started her 2nd year. I already spoke some Russian, but Helena did not, so her first exam was done in French with an old professor who knew the language. She spoke French fluently. We got a room in the dormitory for ourselves, and our friend got a room with someone else. This time was not very troubling for us regarding studies. The Soviet government had transferred staff from Moscow to Molotov for the time of the war, which was important later. We became very friendly with some of the professors there, which helped us later, and also with the students, especially with one Russian couple. I was thinking of finishing my studies and getting my degree, and then I knew I would have to go to the army. At that time, a Polish army was being formed in the Soviet Union under General Anders. I couldn't get in touch with them yet, but thought I would do so after finishing my studies. I spent the semester of 1941 to 42 in Molotov studying. When I finished my studies and got my degree, I kept my student ID with me instead of returning it. My friend and I reported for service in the army. We were assigned to an officer camp in a town about 50 miles from Saratov. We went there and started preparing to become officers.